In this video, I'd like to share an overview of Context Institute's long-term strategy. It's long-term both because I expect it will take a few years to get all the components in place, and because I expect we'll be using it for a long time to come beyond that. It's a strategy that responds to an opportunity most people don't know exists, so I need to start by describing the opportunity in order to set the context. The context starts with the perspective provided by this outline of history, which I described in my What Time Is It presentation. We are here, in the later part of the transition from the Empire era to the Planetary era. And at this time, there is a growing gap between many of our ideas, behaviors, and institutions, which come from or have their roots in the Empire era, and the practical conditions of today with a full Earth and a small world. When this gap is felt but not understood, it leads to confusion, frustration, fear, and a sense of breakdown and crisis. But when the gap is seen in the context of the Empire-to-Planetary transition, it opens up a sense of opportunities along with the dangers. The momentum of our times supports efforts to increase all the characteristics of the planetary era. As we work toward more sustainability, diversity, self-organization, and connectivity, we have the winds of history at our backs. It may take decades for society as a whole to experience the full benefits of the planetary era, but individuals and small groups can get those benefits much sooner as early adopters. Because planetary era ideas, behaviors, and institutions are better aligned with the practical realities of our times, they simply work better. This gives a competitive advantage to early adopter individuals and groups, and it's available now. We need to skate to where the puck will be. By devising and adopting forward-looking solutions, we have a much better chance of getting long-term returns from our efforts. These opportunities can be tapped at many scales. It begins with personal choices and personal change. The personal scale will always be important, but by itself, its cultural impact can be slow and limited. The pace picks up with the help of intentional change agents, if they are skillful, and that's an important caveat, helping other people and systems around them to move towards planetary era characteristics. The process becomes even more powerful when the culture changers are part of a network, able to learn from and draw support from each other. Context Institute's long-term strategy is to train and empower planetary era culture changers, both in existing networks and in networks to come. Let me flesh out this strategy and its context a little more. At a world level, we currently have a world in crisis. And by crisis, I mean a time of both danger and opportunity. Our goal is to get to the planetary era as gracefully as possible. As I described in What Time Is It? Getting there will require major changes throughout the culture. So you could say that at this level, the strategy to get to the planetary era is to make those cultural changes. But how are we going to do that? In the past, a lot of cultural change has been unconscious and slow, but experience from fields like organizational development suggest that culture change can be smoother, faster, and more joyful with the help of skilled strategic change agents. Okay, how can this be scaled up to the world? Let's give ourselves some room to think about this. Where we'd like to be is with a good worldwide supply of effective change agents. Where we are now is with many, many people all over the world, likely millions, who would like to help the transition to the planetary era, even if they don't know that name. Some are already doing quite wonderful work and accomplishing great things. Others are willing but don't know how to translate their longings and intuitions into action. Some are quite frustrated and discouraged. So there is a wide spectrum, but even the most effective generally still have room for improvement. How can we bridge that gap? This is the question that inspires the Foundation Stones project. It is why we call it a core curriculum for 21st century change agents. It's a curriculum intended to enable the willing to become the effective. So part of Context Institute's strategic mission is to provide a curriculum that bridges that gap. However, if we focused only on the Foundation Stones curriculum, we would miss an important opportunity. The second part of the strategic mission is to also help the willing become more effective by providing network support among those who have engaged with the Foundation Stones. What do I mean by network support? It ranges from helping to arrange local face-to-face meetings around the world to online forums and other ways of providing linkage. This networking is important because the concepts in the Foundation Stones are just a starting point. As people turn their attention to being intentional change agents, they will benefit a lot from being in touch with peers who can share learnings, help make connections, and provide moral support. Fortunately, there are lots of existing networks working on planetary era issues, and we're happy to collaborate with them and support these networks. At the same time, the whole system character of the Foundation Stones is unusual enough that I expect various new networks to grow up around them, and will help. So, network support is an important part of the mission, but that's not all. The third part of the mission is to work with those who are already doing it to identify strategic innovations and then help to bring them into being. How does strategic innovation support work? It begins with identifying, with the help of our networks, the missing threads in the emerging planetary era cultural fabric. It makes sense that those who are on the front edge of cultural change will be in the best position to see what innovations are needed next, be they in group process or communications or some aspect of sustainability. Once identified, we again turn to our networks to see who might be interested in helping bring the innovation into being. In some cases, we will provide an organizational home for at least the initial stages of development. Once the innovation has been created, we will help to get the word out and get it into use. Overall, our role will be to provide focus so that helpful innovations can emerge more quickly and smoothly. In this way, we will be directly playing our part in the innovate, implement, educate process. So our long-term strategy is to train and empower planetary era culture changers through the Foundation Stones curriculum, to help them network, and to facilitate the emergence of strategic innovations. And these culture changers will in turn help the remaining transition be as graceful as possible. That's it for this overview. In the next video, we'll look in more operational detail at how this mission gets translated into practical activity and how you can be part of making it real.